Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
And you're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Deal from Murder.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
It's a good deal.
Or bad deal. It ended in death.
It did. So it might not be the best deal, but
right.
You're hoping someone has a good deal. So in this episode, we're heading to New Jersey and Florida.
Oh boy, that's a combo. Here we go. Buckle up.
No, I mean Florida.
Florida.
From New Jersey.
Either way, we're going to the shore.
Yep, we're going to water. Once again, water. We have a theme. I have a theme maybe that I keep picking things with water, but all right. So in this episode, it's Saturday, February 24th of 1996.
Okay.
We're with 58-year-old Frank Black. He is a man who has made millions in the business of buses.
But I didn't know buses were so lucrative.
I didn't either until this episode. And now I'm wondering why I haven't invested in a transportation company.
Also, Frank Black sounds like an alias. It just doesn't sound real.
Yeah, doesn't it? Like the it makes me think of Men in Black. I don't know why. Men in Black. Okay, so Frank, he's headed to Florida to meet a potential client.
Did he take a bus? How'd he get there?
No, he took a plane.
What?
What? Right. You should support your own people, Frank.
Right?
Anyway, he doesn't normally work the weekends, but when you have your own business, you basically work whenever.
You work when you gotta work, right?
Yeah.
Always closing the deal.
Yep. Never really off at work. So this weekend he decides he's going to make the trip because it could be one of the biggest deals of his career.
Ooh, sounds like a good reason to work on a Saturday.
I mean, yeah. So he tells his work help, his family, and his girlfriend that he's headed to Palm Beach to meet a woman named Mia Giordano. Mia Giordano.
Well, all right. Well, if I have to come in on a Saturday or work on a Saturday, I am not going to Palm Beach. So again, twist my arm.
Right.
I could probably be convinced.
That sounds pretty Beach. Nice. I might
sounds
go down
rough.
there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's meet Mia Giordano.
Okay.
So Mia was to pick him up from the airport. And from there, they'd be meeting up with others who would be involved in the deal so that he could meet up with them. Okay. And supposedly the deal was like a Costa Rican company that wanted to buy buses from him. So she was kind of representing them.
Well, he's gone international.
Yeah, he's going full-fledged.
Dang.
So that's why he's so excited. He's like, okay, this could be the biggest of my lifetime. I could be starting companies all around. Let's see. He was only going for the weekend and he would be back Monday for another meeting he had scheduled. And Frank is hoping this deal, this Costa Rican deal with Mia, would be the perfect end to a great career because he's ready to land this deal and then sell his business and retire.
Oh, sweet. How old is he?
He's 58.
Sweet.
I know. So he had an offer from a bigger company to buy his business, and he was planning on accepting it when he returned to New Jersey.
Dang.
After closing this one, because then he could be like, hey, look what else I got. How much more do you want to pay me? So could be pretty sweet. Back in New Jersey, when Monday arrives and Frank has not, everyone knows something's wrong. We have a lot of these, like work.
Yeah.
He just didn't show up. And Frank's the type, he has his hand in every aspect of his business. Like it legit can't run without him. He does not delegate like the people in our last episode.
Right. Okay. Right. There's not enough delegating here. He's not great at it. People either delegate too much or not enough. There's no medium.
No.
Okay. So yeah.
He's obviously missed and needed.
This is bad.
Yeah. And everyone knows he's looking forward to retiring. So when he misses that super important meeting on Monday about selling his company, his loved ones quickly raise the alarm. Okay. So he hadn't just missed that major meeting, but he also hadn't been answering phone calls while on his trip. He was one of those who had the very early cell phones.
Oh, yeah. The one that looked like the size of a brick.
They were hot. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Don Johnson. That's what I think of.
It was a two-handed puppy. Yeah, no, use both hands to hold it up. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's not answering that or calling back, because he was always checking his voicemail and calling back, they really start to get worried. And since he's so involved with his business, answering the phone is pretty important.
Yeah.
So Frank's office manager, who also happens to be his girlfriend. Oops, how does that?
Yeah, that's, wow, never would have suspected that one.
No, that's weird how that happens. Her name is Sally Roberts. Also sounds like a fake name.
You're right.
Frank Black. Sally Roberts.
Are we really talking about buses here?
This feels like a 80s movie. But she says that woman, Mia, from Florida, had called the office a ton of times, but had never left a number with them.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, and I guess she left it with Frank, but not anyone else at the office. So
also weird.
Yeah.
And a lot of sus stuff happening here.
Right. And I don't think she really thought about it until then. Then she was like, oh, I don't know how to get a hold of this other ladies.
Yeah. Now it's like, wait a minute, this is a problem.
But she did find in her notes that that Mia said she's representing a business called Valdez Exporting.
Okay.
So at least they got that info. This Mia chick had given Frank a description of herself since she'd be picking him up from the airport. And
she would be wearing a red rose. Oh no, wait,
Rose,
that's The Bachelor.
what was that from? Oh, that's
I don't know.
Something, or I'll be wearing a red dress. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Frank had told Sally about this. So luckily she had this description. And
Mia, good, yeah.
Yes. So Sally told authorities Mia described herself as 5'1" and blonde.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough of a description. Like,
I know.
5'1" blonde.
Could be.
I mean, I know that's pretty short.
It's pretty short, but still, yeah. That's all the description. So I guess.
I'll be the tiny blonde woman.
Yeah.
Angela from The Office is coming to pick him up from the airport.
Totally.
Okay, got it.
That's totally who it is. It's Angela. Except her name is Mia.
Mia, right.
So a detective went to speak with the travel agent who had booked the trip for Frank.
Oh, yeah. Back when people used travel agents instead of like Expedia. Right. Okay.
I know. It's crazy.
Ooh, and I'm going back.
He delegated something. He had someone plan a trip for him. The travel agent said he'd been booked a one-way ticket to Florida, which I thought was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when he knew exactly when he needed to be back.
Right. So I thought that was weird. And it's actually never talked about further. He booked that ticket with her, but he had decided against renting a car because he was expecting to get rides from the clients and stuff. They had told him they're going to take him around. And airline records, they check those. They show Frank was on that flight. So they know he made it to Palm Beach. And they check registries at all the West Palm Beach hotels. He's not registered in any of them. So they're like, what could he be doing with this?
So what was the client supposed to be putting him up in a hotel? Maybe
no one really knew. He didn't talk about it to anybody about what his plans were. Yeah.
Weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just my anxiety, but I wouldn't be just leaving up my stuff to everybody else. I'd be
Me
like,
too.
No, I'm going to make my own plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my own car. I'm going to have,
it just feels.
If it doesn't work out, I want to have my own transportation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess he wasn't too worried about it and didn't pre-register, but they do go and look at his financial records and they find that Frank's credit cards had been used after the flight. One credit card was used at the Embassy Suites on Riviera Beach between 1 and 2 in the morning. But he's not registered.
But he's not registered there.
Yeah. So it's
he
not
just
for
went
a
to
room.
the bar? Like what?
So since he's not registered there, they're like, well, that's bizarre. He didn't stay there. Then a different credit card of his is used at 4 a.m. to purchase gas from a gas station in North Miami.
He didn't rent a car. So someone else picking him up and he's getting the gas. I don't know. This is weird.
It's super weird. Yeah. Police go to talk to the attendant from the gas station. They show him a photo of Frank. And the guy's like, I don't remember Frank, but that doesn't mean that much because these were pumps with the credit card payment systems on them. So I might.
Doesn't mean he came in.
No, doesn't mean I saw him.
Come in at all. Yep.
He wouldn't really interact with them unless they did. And when they asked the attendant if they remembered us seeing a woman matching, a tiny blonde woman.
Right. Have you seen The Office?
Right. Do you recognize this lady?
Right.
So same answer. He's like, gosh, no, I don't remember anyone. At least they didn't come inside. That's all I
don't
say.
remember a tiny child coming to pump gas. No.
With a nice hairdo. Yeah. Anyway. So they go to the Embassy Suites and they catch up with the clerk who'd been on duty that early morning, late night that Frank's credit card was used. They show the clerk his photo and she's like, no, I don't remember seeing that guy at all. But since it's like the very early hours of the morning, it's not a super busy time. So she's able to remember who she encountered then.
Okay. Yeah.
He mentions a woman who was maybe a little over 5 foot tall, who'd come in at about 2 a.m. The woman had dark hair, not blonde, and had come in asking for a room. The clerk told her, we're all booked up. I'm so sorry. So the woman asks, can I call other hotels? Can I use the phone to call other hotels? So at this time, it wasn't the regular pay phones that were still in use then. They had this type of phone was the one with the credit card swiper on it.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I know. It was such a short amount of time. It felt like
because then all of a sudden everybody had cell phones. And they didn't need them anymore.
That's what she used. She used the credit card machine a few times then. So investigators also contact the Florida Secretary of State. So they know that name of the business that Valdez exported. Okay. So they check with them. They're like, we need any information on this company. Yeah. And the Secretary of State's like, no, there's no such company registered in Florida. It doesn't even exist.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm also like surprised at how much detectives are digging at this point, but this guy is a millionaire. So.
Right. Yeah. Right. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, maybe you should have done some background checking before
you just go randomly to meet people and you're a millionaire. What do they want from you? Whew. They try to look up Mia Giordano, but there's no one in the state of Florida or New Jersey by that name. Isn't that weird? I would have thought down, especially New Jersey, that there'd be a ton, with the Italian name. But,
oh my gosh. See, this is before you could just go online and Google somebody and be like, all right.
You're a legitimate person. No.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. I went away. So by now it's been 5 days since Frank went missing and detectives are just at a loss. They don't know what to do. Yeah. They're wondering if maybe Frank intended to leave his life and never come back. But
doesn't sound like, all his money was tied up back in New Jersey. Yeah. Like you'd think if he was going to do that, he would have a little
cushion somewhere that he could just, especially with that single flight, the one-way ticket kind of like.
But it does sound like he might have like just been trying to. But usually if you do that, you don't tell people where you're going.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And make plans for the next week. But Frank's adult daughter and his girlfriend, they insist he's right at the cusp of what he's viewing as like his golden years. Yeah. Where he could leave the stress of work and enjoy retirement.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So they couldn't imagine any reason he'd have to check out of his pretty great life.
Right.
But so police keep going and they decide to look further into Frank's phone records. And they're able to confirm that Frank was getting calls from someone in Florida.
Okay.
The calls weren't coming from West Palm Beach, but from Jupiter, Florida. And that's about 30 minutes away from there.
Okay.
And they trace the calls. It goes to a woman named Lisa Costello. So they look into Lisa. And Lisa is definitely not blonde, but her driver's license says she's 5 foot 1 inch tall. What are the chances? It's pretty specific too. So investigators, they take Lisa's photo, her license photo, put it in a photo lineup and take it back to the clerk at the hotel. And the clerk immediately picks her out, Lisa. And she's like, oh, that's the woman. She was making phone calls here. That was her.
Oh, boy.
But there was no man with her. She was alone when she's making these calls. So they start digging into Lisa's whereabouts the day of Frank's arrival in Florida. And police find that Lisa had rented a car near the airport shortly before Frank was to arrive.
Okay.
And they even track down that rental car to look for evidence, and they have it impounded, but there's nothing.
There's nothing there
in it. Yeah.
I'm guessing that car got gas with his credit card too, probably, right?
I'm guessing that might be a good place to do it. Maybe got gas before they returned it. You know how you have to do that?
Interesting. Side note, the next story I'm going to do, because I already watched 2 different episodes on it, takes place in Jupiter, Florida.
No way.
Just FYI. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I'm familiar.
I know a lot about
exactly
Jupiter.
What Jupiter, Florida is.
That's so funny.
Right? Okay.
Oh, Florida. They're just
Florida.
such givers,
Yeah.
givers. Okay, so they dig into Lisa. So there's only circumstantial evidence to link Lisa Frank. There's no physical evidence, so they're not sure if she has anything to do with this. So they decide to put a tail on her. Again, would they do this for the average Joe?
They found her. They have her.
They did.
Okay.
They know where she's at, but would they do this for just anyone that goes missing? I don't know. Would they go to this kind of work?
Remember, a lot of places say that you have the right to go missing as an adult. So interesting.
And we've had so many episodes like that where the families have to fight to get people to
Maybe it has to do with the police, how busy they are, how well funded they are, resources.
Could be. Maybe they have control over the police buses.
Police buses?
Transporting the prisoners. So they're like, we better make sure we find Frank.
Happened to own the company that supplied police busing.
Maybe that gives them more of an incentive to find him. Yes.
Right.
They start following Lisa and they discover she's dating a man named Alan Mackerly, who also happens to own a bus company like Frank. And
boy, is that a coinky-dink.
Weird. And he's also from New Jersey. Yeah, what are the odds?
Okay.
So they're like, we're on to something. We're on to something. So Alan had recently made the move to Florida from New Jersey, but he still owned his transportation company in New Jersey. So they're like, there's something here. There's some related something. So they focus their attention on Alan and they wonder, how can he play into this? There's got to be some way he's connected.
Got to be in competition
pretty specific.
Other, right?
Like we were talking like a bus company, like how random it feels. But
how many bus companies can be in New Jersey?
Right.
So they got to be in direct competition with each other or something.
Can't be a coincidence. Yeah. So investigators soon find out that Frank and Alan had a powerful rivalry going between the two companies. And their businesses are only about 10 miles apart. Like, wouldn't you think you'd be on opposite sides of New Jersey? Like, I guess New Jersey's not that huge, but still.
No. So, I mean, I'm not really a business person by any stretch, but you know, if my biggest competition was about to make a very lucrative deal selling his business, if he was out of the way, couldn't I sell my business and retire?
That's good.
Maybe I could do business.
I think you could do business.
Maybe
I think you're onto something. I think you really have it figured out. So
proud of myself.
I think you understand, Alan.
I understood the assignment.
Good job. Good job. You know these shows. So those businesses are only 10 miles apart and they're always competing for the same clients. Specifically, schools and other institutions were like a big get for these guys.
Schools and, say prison transportation, just,
probably
transportation,
probably.
Institutions,
you say. Yes. So when checking phone records, investigators find that there were recent calls from Frank's phone to Alan's home phone. But since the men are like well-known enemies, why would they be calling one another?
Interesting.
So to find out, police return to Frank's office manager / girlfriend, Sally. And they want to find out if maybe the men had made amends and were planning to work together or something. Sally said the last time the rivals had been in the same room together was in early January of 1996 at an industry banquet. Sally and Frank had been talking to others when Alan storms up to Frank, steaming mad. Alan's furious with Frank for stealing one of his major busing contracts. And he threatens Frank in front of everyone, saying he's going to get him and put him under.
Wow. So maybe he made it sound like under business-wise, but sounded like underground.
Right.
Like what he actually intended.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
So they're pretty sure he's either after destroying the business or Frank himself. So
I believe the answer is no, they have not made amends.
So long story short, no, they're not friends. So authorities find out exactly what made Alan so infuriated. Apparently, that bus contract was won by Frank underbidding Alan by more than half the cost. Probably just to spite Alan. I mean, that's just...
Dang it, like, I'm going to lose money on this just because I hate your ass.
Right. So, and this happened to be a big school district account. So Frank took Alan's threats seriously. And from that time on, he wouldn't go to any meetings or conferences that Alan could even possibly be at. Because he was,
I don't blame him,
was pretty sure that I pissed this guy off to the point he's going to get violent. So knowing that Alan had received calls at his residence from Frank, the police knew, right? So they had gotten those records. They needed some proof, and they had no body. They have no weapon. They have no confession. So they can't arrest him.
He's just gone.
Yeah, they can't do anything to Alan. So they decide to try to get approval to tap Alan's phone.
Oh, good call.
Right. But wiretaps are like extremely hard to get. And you really have to prove that there's probable cause to get one.
Threatening him in front of a room full of people is not enough. Okay.
Right. And I think they must have some pull because they do get it.
Okay.
So they get lucky. A judge grants them the wiretap, and they're hoping to catch Lisa and Alan talking about probable murder or what happened to Frank. Something. However, very few conversations were even had by the couple over the phone, because by this time, Lisa had actually moved into Alan's house.
Ah,
so
crap.
they're not going to be calling each other.
Yeah. From the living room to the kitchen or anything
I
like
was
that.
Say, it's not like me where I actually do call my sons just because they're always have I can't bake on their doors because they can't hear me through their headphones. Right. So I have to call them.
Done that after like the third time of dinner's ready. Let me just text her.
Yeah.
Dinner. Oh, why didn't you say so?
I didn't hear you. Really? Shocker. Yep. This was before then. So now if they want to hear anything Lisa and Alan are discussing, police need to bug his house.
Right. That's a whole nother level.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's a whole nother level. Placing listening devices in
the home. Yeah. They got to actually get in there too.
You
right?
actually have to get in there. It's like, I don't know. Putting him in a home is like escaping quicksand to try to get that approval. So, speaking of quicksand, I think most of us from the 80s assumed we'd have to fight through quicksand at some point.
That would actually be a thing, right?
Yeah. And yet
exactly.
I have yet to ever discover quicksand, even though I know how to escape it.
I don't even know anyone who's ever come across quicksand.
Doesn't really exist.
Should have really thought it would be a bigger issue.
But if it did exist, at least we know how to get out of it because we've watched so many shows.
This is a skill that we will never have to use.
We'll never have
Sad.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So, however, authorities are able to convince the judge that this is indeed needed, and they get to bug Alan's house. I don't know how they got it. They wouldn't go into details. I'm like, somebody had a special
somebody knew
bus.
Somebody.
Yeah. Somebody had their own bus that was owned by Frank and was like, okay, I like this guy. But even with that bugging of their house, the couple's extremely careful. And investigators think they somehow know their place is bugged. Maybe someone saw something and said something. I don't know. So whenever they begin talking, they turn up the radio very loudly. So it drowns out their voices.
So it's obvious.
Yes. So they're so frustrated. Frank had disappeared in February of 1996, and now it's June of 1996. There's still no sign of him, no body, nothing. Fortunately, one of the investigators at the case had an old friend in a powerful position. He was an FBI agent. And so that friend is like, hey, if you need any help from the FBI, let us know. So he's like, oh, yes, we need your help. He comes on the case, and they figure their best lead is the presumed false identity that Lisa Costello put on as Mia Giordano to snare Frank. So they hope if they can go confront Lisa with all the evidence they have showing that she likely knew what happened to Frank. She was there. She probably
was part of it.
Yeah. She had his credit card, something.
Ooh, yeah.
So maybe she'll turn on Alan and confess.
Yeah. How tight are they?
Right.
There's no ring on this finger. I'm just saying.
It's true. She's just girlfriend at this point. And there's a big age difference. I can't remember. I think he's...
Of course there is.
Yeah. He's in his 50s too. And I think she's in her 30s or something. But yeah, he also is very wealthy.
My clock is ticking and there's no ring and no ring in sight. And I'm starting to get annoyed.
And she's a sassy New Jersey girl. Yeah. So they decide to offer her total immunity.
Damn.
If she'll talk to them. Yeah. So they tell her, we're going to subpoena you.
And they're banking on her having seriously good info.
So they tell her, we're going to subpoena you. If you tell this grand jury everything you know, you will have total immunity. So this is a risk because if Lisa actually was Frank's killer, She could be like,
right.
Yeah, I freaking killed him and get away with it.
What if she was a tiny little psycho?
Yep. On June 13th of 1996, Lisa appears before a grand jury, but she refuses to talk. She's uncooperative and hostile during questioning.
Oh,
like
even with her immunity?
Like she could have gotten, this was her chance, but the judge warns her, if you don't answer these questions and answer them honestly, you'll be jailed for contempt. Lisa chooses to be jailed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immunity doesn't work for that. Okay.
No, she was like, fuck you. She ignores the warning. She goes to jail instead of answering any questions. And her plea deal is now gone for immunity. She does not get that back. So, and also now investigators don't have anyone to turn on Alan to get to the bottom of what happened.
Well, that backfired.
It badly backfired. And they're shitting bricks basically at this point. But then a confidential source comes to police saying that, you know what, I know this witness that wants to come forward, but he's afraid to talk because of his own involvement and because Alan was very capable of violence and retaliation.
Oh.
So they're like, goody.
Did they delegate the murder to a third party?
So we will continue this story next week.
Oh, you're going to make me wait till next week?
Not you, but everyone else.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yay. Yeah. Everyone else, come back next week for part 2 of One Deal from Murder.
Hey, Oddies. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com. And if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.